day my parents ran away with my younger sister Clara, they handed me over to debt collectors as collateral. When the debt collector's enforcer kicked open the door, he found me squatting in the corner, reading a criminal law textbook. Hey, your parents fled. How are you planning to pay back the money? I closed my book. Sir, I've analyzed your recordings of violent debt collection practices. 12 points can be argued as civil disputes. Follow my plan, and you can avoid jail time entirely. He froze completely. I broke down their 3 years of past cases one by one, writing out detailed risk mitigation strategies. After reading everything, the tattooed gang boss cursed under his breath. I've been a gang leader for 20 years. Today I learned how to collect debts legally. He introduced himself as OG Ryder, then crouched down to meet my eyes level. I could clearly see the scar on his chin and my own reflection in his pupils. Who taught you all this? I shook my head, fighting back fear and answering slowly, word by word. I taught myself. He scanned me from head to toe, his suspicious gaze lingering on my malnourished arms. Did your parents hit you often? I shook my head. They never hit me. They just pretended I didn't exist. There was no plate for me at the dinner table, no photo of me in family pictures. No one cared when I was sick. Once I had a 104 degrees Fahrenheit fever and couldn't get out of bed. My mom glanced at me and said, "Stop faking. You're just being lazy." Then she took Clara shopping. I lay in bed alone for 3 days before I finally recovered. For as long as I could remember, they'd argued and thrown things in front of me, then disappeared with Clara. Before every escape, they said the same thing. This child isn't as likable as Clara. Bringing her along is too much trouble. So every single time, I was the one left behind. When my parents came back after fleeing debts, they'd stare at me with strange eyes and sigh. Later I understood, it was disappointment. Disappointment that I was still alive and well. Disappointment that they had to support this burden of a child all over again. I looked up into Ryder's eyes. They were fierce, but I'd seen fiercer. The look my dad gave me after losing money, like I was nothing but trash. My parents have been in debt for over a decade. Our house was full of legal documents. I had nothing else to do, so I read them. A piece of moldy bread and a book, and a whole day would pass. I paused, then added, I started reading when I was 3. I wasn't bragging. My parents had abandoned me to these people. If I couldn't prove I was useful, I might get sold away. How old are you? 12. Ryder stared at me, full of doubt. The hallway light flickered. He stood up and waved his hand. Hudson, bring all our IOUs. Let our little lawyer take a look. I don't know how long passed. My legs went numb from squatting. Hudson finally carried over a heavy cardboard box, thudding onto the floor. Inside were IOUs, contracts, and transaction records, all jumbled together. Ryder patted the box and nodded at me. Little genius, show us what you've got. Ryder and his crew were playing cards in the living room. 3 men huddled around a folding table, smoking nonstop, the air thick with cigarette smoke. I sat in the corner, sorting through the box under dim light. Mid-game, the youngest man, Miles, glanced at me. Ryder, come on, what could a 12-year-old possibly figure out? Hudson also looked over. She hasn't moved an inch in 2 hours. I didn't dare move. I'd seen abandoned kids before. A boy 2 years older than me slept next to a trash can after his parents left. His eyes were empty, like 2 dark holes. Ryder didn't speak, playing his card. The second he finished his turn, I set down the last file. I'm done. Everyone looked over. I walked to the folding table, and they automatically made space for me. I brushed ash and beer cans off the table to clear a spot. I pointed to the first case. The March before last you said, if you don't pay, we'll make you regret it. That counts as intimidation. But if you'd said, if you don't pay, we will pursue legal action, it would have been a legitimate collection notice. Hudson's mouth fell open. I pointed to the second. Seizing the debtor's fridge and TV counts as theft. But if you had them sign a debt for asset agreement at the time, it would have been a voluntary civil transaction. Spraying paint on property, illegal, but only requires civil compensation. Apologize, pay damages, and get a signed forgiveness letter. Last September was the most dangerous. Someone was seriously injured.